Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is 1,000 Words. This is a special build for me today. The title card that you saw, it's called Camp Patriot, and it was just a name that we kind of thought of. At first we thought of Camp Hope, and then Camp Patriot. Turns out both of those things actually exist. Camp Hope, I believe, is in Texas. Camp Patriot was somewhere else. I can't remember right now, but they help veterans, and they deal with PTSD specifically. So we found those two things out by accident. What I'm building is something that my husband and I were having a conversation, and it was kind of that whole, like, if we had money, what would we do kind of thing. And for us, I'm a photographer, and so we've always talked about having my photography studio, getting right now I just do on-location photography, and which is great, but I would like to have my own studio, and in my studio I would like to have a gallery for local artists to show off their stuff. They can sell it if there's interest. That would be fantastic. But it's more of a showcasing local artists kind of thing, whether it's pottery, painting, artwork, which is painting, whatever you can think of, comic book illustrations, any of that stuff. So I've always said that I wanted to do that. I've also always said that I wanted to try to support a charity like Wounded Warriors, or Convoy of Hope is another big one that I'm going to support. I actually want to do charity streams on Twitch at a certain point when I get to where there are enough people watching to make that beneficial for those charities. But we were talking about, if I had my studio. Okay, here's what sparked the conversation. Let me back up. We were leaving Walmart, and there was a man who was, of course, standing out by the road, by the stoplight, who was, not begging. I mean, he was needing help. We've seen him there before. He has a dog, and the dog is so adorable. He has like sunglasses and a little shirt that he wears. And this is one of those situations where it's very clear that this is an actual homeless person who needs our help. And I know you hear a lot of negative things out there about people faking it for money and stuff, which just happen, but this is not one of those cases. And we always kind of feel bad. It's either I don't see him when I go into Walmart, because the entrance of the store is actually quite a ways away from where he's standing, or he's not there when we come back out, and so I'm not able to do anything for him. And it turns out that my husband did have, a few dollars on him the other day, and so we were able to help him. And I thought, what I would love, what we would both love, is to have my studio and leave a portion of the income available, that if there was a homeless veteran who was willing to just be there every day for his set hours of time and do whatever. So it's not like I'm going to say, oh, he has to be the janitor, or he has to do this, that, just whatever his skill sets might be. If he can help out in some way, that would be enough for us. And it's kind of like, he's earned his opportunity, his chance to just say, yeah, you know what, I just want to do this today. And I know that probably seems a little naive or a little dreamy, but I believe that it's something that it can happen. And so we wanted to be able to just have that much money set aside, that if we found someone that we could help, that we could do that. And then we started talking, having a little apartment, and one of the requirements is that he keeps his apartment clean, of course, no drugs, but that we would do that. And so we continued to thinking of, what it'd be really cool if we had the photography studio outside of the city, maybe just a little bit. I still want to be visible, of course, but we could put it just to where we had maybe a little bit of land that we could put some tiny homes. And well, it started out as one, and then it merged into a whole row. Um, but of tiny homes that are self-sustainable. They would have solar power, and then my husband has talked about wanting to get into aquaponics. So, and then of course gardening if they wanted to do that. And so we started looking, my husband started looking online for house plans for tiny homes that might actually work for that. So we don't want it to be super small. We want it to be something that, whether it's a veteran and their spouse or a veteran and maybe a pet, that they can live comfortably, because dang it, they've earned it. And so we also know that, of course, we would need them to be possibly ADA compliant. So they would have to have doorways that are, I believe, 36 inches and hallways and stuff like that. So while we're not allowed to do anything like that in The Sims, which I really wish that we were able to do, like ramps to get in, stuff like that, of course we cannot. And I do want these to be functional, so I didn't use a roof as a ramp. So I use stairs. But I would want this to be for anyone, whether they're suffering with PTSD or something and they're just not able to work, or if they have some sort of injury. And we do realize that, of course, there might be security issues that we would need to keep someone on staff for stuff like that. Of course, someone that's trained. But I believe that we could find like-minded people who would want to do this as a benefit to those that really deserve it. And I know that that's dream scenario, which is exactly what I'm talking about. It's a dream scenario of what we would like to do if we had the chance to give back just a little bit. Of course, my husband, if any of you have been here or listened to my other videos, my husband is in the immigration process with me to get his green card and then hopefully become a citizen. And it's a long, painful process, and just getting married does not guarantee that, just so you know. It does not make the process any quicker. So, but we're going through that, and he loves this country, and he loves the veterans and being able to thank them and stuff like that. So, being able to do this, especially as a potentially new citizen at the time, it's something that really speaks to him also. So, and I have veterans in my family, and I'm getting a little emotional. I have veterans in my family, and I've been very blessed the last couple of years to be able to help out at my previous job. We have Purple Heart event here in town, and I was able to go and help photograph that event with another coworker, and it's so emotional to be with all of these wounded veterans and from all wars, and it's so heartwarming to hear them talking, and you see them open up in a way that they normally wouldn't do, being around people who perhaps have not fought. These are people who have also fought, and they can share their stories without any fear of rejection or judgment. I mean, the stories are stories that they lived through, and it happened. So it's a really emotionally charged weekend. There is a lot of crying, so it makes it a little hard to photograph that event. But you just kind of have to try to steel yourself and not pay attention to really what's happening, because the moment that you stop and you start watching, all of the men rising and, standing to their feet and saluting the flag, and, it's so emotional to know that these men have all been injured in the line of duty for our country. It's just so overwhelming to have been a part of it. So I encourage you, if you ever have a chance to volunteer at an event like that, do it. Be prepared. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was my phone. I didn't turn it off. Be prepared that you're gonna cry. I was not prepared my first year. But yeah, so it's yeah. Aside from events, this would be one of those things where we would hope that we could find perhaps a counselor who specializes in PTSD and different things like that to come and maybe be on hand, or at least available with a phone call to help out to any issues that might be there, or anything. I believe if it was a facility, if we only had, a few tiny homes to help out a few veterans, that perhaps we could find someone that would be willing to do that. So the idea for this build was just doing 3. Of course, my husband has this tendency to, you start out with one. Like I started out with an apartment at the studio, like above it or beside it or something. And then it turned into a whole row of tiny homes, like a whole village, which this build is not a village, but it is 3 tiny homes. I did want to keep with the same shingles on the outside of it, so you'll see it, but we thought originally of doing like red, white, and blue. Of course, the red does not come in those shingles, so I went with making them all kind of match aesthetically, rather than the red, white, and blue. But yeah, so I will warn you ahead of time, this video is about an hour long. We are 11 minutes in, and I really hope to be further than that by now, but we're not. I will kind of try to talk about it as it's going. As you can see, I'm working on the living room right now, and every house is a little different, but still basically the same. So it would have the same layout. Hopefully it would be one of those things where maybe the first people that we're going to go in there could have some input into how it goes, because this is going to be a place for them to live. And they will get, it will be sustainable. So hopefully that would help with any housing costs. And we would encourage them to, whether it's helping out with garden or the aquaponics, or even helping out in the studio in some way, I think it would be fantastic. But of course, that's not really a requirement. This isn't about putting them to work necessarily, or getting what some might see as like free labor. That's not it at all. They would be paid and they would have a place to live. But it's more about giving them back their dignity, because they have more than earned it. I cannot say that enough. The things they've seen, the things they've had to go through, it's something that's I can only imagine, because I have never been in that situation. And in my mind, being able to help them have some of that dignity, so they're not standing on the street corner trying to get a few dollars, or they don't have to say goodbye to their pet that they love so much because they can't feed it. Stuff like that. I can't help it. I keep tearing up. I'm really going to try to do this entire video without making myself cry. Yeah. So I wanted this to be a home for them. And like I was saying, it's not about, it's dignity comes in having a place to lay your head, a place to call your own. This isn't one of those things where they're gonna have to leave in 6 months and go find something else. It's more of, this is your home, take care of it, live by the rules, so like no fighting, stuff like that. But this is just a safe place for you to live, and maybe a community. Because one of the things that I've seen at those events is that there was a woman actually in particular who spoke with one of the coordinators of the event here, and she spoke to her, and she said, this was some years ago, after the event was over, she walked up to the coordinator and she said, I need to thank you. She says, I've known my husband for however many years it was, like 30 years or 40 years. And she said, I've never heard any of the stories that he's told this weekend, and it's something that he won't talk about. Oh God, I'm going to make myself cry. She said, this is something that he won't talk about with me. And, but here I got to sit and listen to him tell these stories to other individuals who've been there and who truly understand him. And it gave him a sense of pride, and it gave him a sense of kind of release to be able to talk about it with people that he knew beyond a shadow of a doubt would understand. And it's just being able to provide a community for them that if they want to sit out on their porch and share stories, they can. I also made it a point to put in curtains that could be closed. So if they just need space and time away, that is also there. My husband also pointed out that perhaps having two doors may not be something that they would like to have. So there's always an option to only have one deck or one doorway. And so because, there is a sense of safety and security there, perhaps less windows. So anything can be modified. Of course, if we actually did this for real, we would have people kind of guiding us on things that we should put in there for them. Like, limit your number of windows, limit just different stuff like that. Because I know that PTSD can manifest in so many different ways and affect people in many different ways as well. So we just want to be a safe environment. And this wouldn't just be limited to the older veterans. We have a lot of our younger veterans who are really struggling because of the things that they have seen. It's just a really tough thing for him, that I think for them, and I believe that we civilians who have not had to do that, had to fight, there is no possible way for us to understand the cost of the freedom that we enjoy. And I am not ashamed to say I am a proud supporter of our men and women in the military. So my brother was in the Army. He was in Desert Storm. Oh, sorry. My husband and I have had a bit of a tickle in our throat all day today. And so I may at some point cough as well. But yeah. So my brother was in Desert Storm. And, there's things that he was gone for quite a while, and it was terrifying on our end. And only getting letters and stuff from him was also very difficult. But even now, there's just stories that you don't know. And I simply cannot imagine. See, there I go. Sorry. Yeah. So back to the build. The colors I wanted to be kind of neutral, kind of muted, at least for this one. But I did, if you'll notice, there is red, white, and blue in this build. You have the blue and whites and stuff in the bathroom. You also have the red curtains in the kitchen. And then you have more of the blues in the living room itself, as far as the couch and the chairs and stuff. Right there I was playing with, should I have like one color accent wall? But I said no. I just, stop it. Don't make it too complicated. I do use basically the same furniture for the first two builds. The third one, I do change it just a little bit because I do have it set up for a couple. And then, which even this one has plenty enough space for a couple. But my first plan with this one was that it was a captain of, perhaps like a Navy captain or something. He loves the sea. And so I used different elements in there of the sea. So lighthouses, any pictures that had boats or anything like that in there. I don't know what I'm looking for right now. Oh, I was looking for the little corkboard. There it is. So I'm trying to talk and remind myself what I'm doing, but then I'm like, I completely lose track of what I'm doing. So, but I put the little things in there, just little touches of nautical themes. So you have the little nautical lamp. I love Brindleton Bay, by the way. I love all of the beautiful furniture that we got with cats and dogs. It makes my heart very, very happy. And it made this build even more special for me. Being able to kind of center it around a certain story for this person. I would assume when I built it, I had a gentleman in mind who was an old sea captain. I really wish those two stacked because that would have been really, really, really cool. Let's see. Oh, trying to get all of my rugs in. I don't like that one. Let's find another one. So I'm not even entirely sure why I chose the red, but I really liked how it kind of popped against all of the whites and stuff. Yes. Oh, so this one, he actually has a dog. And the dog that I put in there is so adorable. Um, so this is a dog lover, and now I'm going to start putting in like dog toys and the food bowl, and all that kind of stuff. And so my original thought was he'd have like this, um, like a big like black lab or something, maybe perhaps a service dog or something like that. But then when I actually did it, it turned out to be like a cute little big fluffy dog. A little big fluffy dog. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I said. It's fluffy. It's a lot of fluff, but it's a little dog. That's what I mean. Oh my goodness. It is 4:30 in the morning. I was building this last night until about 7 a.m. this morning. And then my husband and I went to bed and we got up at like 2. So this whole not having a job thing is really getting to my sleep patterns. Um, so what do I do with my time? I build in The Sims and make hour-long videos. You're welcome. It's probably going to take forever to upload this because I know the last one I did that was about an hour. Took forever. Why is it paused? I think that was something that I missed when I edited this together. I missed that there was a whole section where I wasn't even paying attention to what I was doing. And now I'm hoping that this isn't going to mess up my recording. Wow. I don't know how long it's going to be like that. Okay, there we go. Awkward pause. This is a lot of me trying to figure out if those two were even. Like I said, I really wish that we had lines on the walls to tell us where we were putting stuff to see if it was lined up, because I am very picky about that. So I had the idea of the purple heart in mind, so I put this star on the wall. I know it kind of goes with our Get to Work police force stuff, but I figured it was more like, to me it's like more like a badge, a plaque for a badge, not a badge, a plaque for a medal that he had received. And so that's what that is. So now it's just kind of looking at all of the rooms, making sure I've gotten everything where I wanted it. So I decided to go outside and work a little bit. I do save all of the landscaping until the very end of the build because I'm not really the best at landscaping. And so I want to have everything in place before I even get started with that. And there's more playing around with those. Yeah, and so, you know, like the ship and the little, just the little nautical stuff that reminds him of the sea. And I really should have made this in Brindleton Bay, but I knew I was going to need a really big lot. And I didn't really want to bulldoze anything that I had in Brindleton Bay, but I may move it there at some point. But right now, it's fine. Yeah. So now it's just getting everything ready for, I'm so sorry. It's getting everything ready for curtains in here. Finding the curtains that I was going to be happy with was a little difficult. I would have liked to have maybe a gray or a pale blue type curtain, but it's fine. And again, this is one of those things where I wanted it to have curtains that could close for privacy. I should have probably put the two in the middle there, but it's okay. Sorry, I just yawned in your ear. That's very rude. And then this one, oh, that goes outside. I was thinking of something else that I'm about to put there. I think I start going for the shelf now. I honestly cannot remember. Yes, so I tried to put the shelf in there for the dog stuff, and I tried to scale it down. But when you scale it down, it keeps the shadow, and so I just was not happy with having that big dark shadow on the walls. I tried to put a light source in there to try to make it better. It didn't make a difference. So I ended up just getting rid of it. I do wish that that shelf with the leashes was smaller, but that's okay. It's just figuring out now what to put on that big wall. I end up going with one of these that has a man and a woman in like a boat, like in Venice. And I thought maybe that's a photo of him and his wife. Maybe perhaps before she passed away or something. So he's a widower. I just tried to put little details in there that would make it a little bit more personal. And now there, of course, comes the whole part where you put in all the clutter. I do love my clutter. I think I have the most clutter CC, or yeah, most of my CC is clutter. That's what I mean. I live for it. Like I have record players and records and books, lots of different kinds of books to put on the shelves. And I moved the dog treats by the back door. I figured I needed that counter space kind of in the kitchen anyway, and I thought having it by the back door where you could just like grab a treat was kind of a cute little idea. I love being able to size things down. The pots and pans have always been a thorn in my side because they are way too big for me. So I sized that down, and then I also sized down the mugs. I feel like they still kind of look like decent sized mugs. So, and the plan here for the back is perhaps they just have a place where they can, you know, smoke a cigarette with one of their neighbors or just tell stories or just kind of drink some coffee and read the paper. So yeah, and that is almost one, I think, entirely done. I might go back in and play some more with the layout a little bit, but for the most part, this unit is done. And then the second unit, it's just a copy, so I don't actually record building the second unit. That would be boring to watch this all over again. And then I'll show you what's going to happen after that. I'm sorry I yawned. It's like I said, it's almost 5 a.m. and I'm tired. So, which is not your fault or your problem. That is all on me. The table that I was using before this was the one from Cats and Dogs that I really love, but you can't, if you size it down, the stuff doesn't clip to it. It clips to where it's supposed to be instead of where you put it, which is something I absolutely hate. But I made it work. I just changed to a different table anyway, something a little more plain. That's it. So this is just showing you the outside. Do I go back in? I honestly don't remember. Oh, I looked at maybe different table options. Is that the one that I want? I don't know. So, oh, and I figured that was like from an old pub that he went to in London when he was in the military. And that was just kind of like artwork from his favorite pub. So I put a lot of thought into this. Or I tried anyway. So yeah, here is the second unit. I just did a copy of all of the things, and then I went in and I changed all of the colors. So this one is greens, green and cream. And then this is for a cat lover. And I actually put a woman in here, and her cat. Very fluffy, adorable cat. I like the fluffy animals. So, and this is like, the art on the wall perhaps is like magazines from when she was in the military, and maybe she was, there was a focus on women in the military, and she was, you know, their spokesperson for that. So yeah. So what I'm doing right now is I'm showing you the process of how I copy it. When I'm going to have rooms that are, or units that are completely the same, but I want multiples and I don't want to build it all, I just do the copy tool on the room and drag it over, and then everything fits in there. You just got to make sure that your doors, closets, stuff like that, they do not carry over. They don't carry, you have to put them where they're supposed to be. I don't know how to word that, because it kind of sees it as a separate room, even though it's a closet. So yeah. And then I make this one gray, I believe. And there are slight differences with each one. The first one, the windows and stuff are all white, and the second one, the windows and things are like the beigey cream. And then on this one, it's the darker blue color. a little bit kind of a richer tone. For some reason I had 2 windows there. I don't even know how I did that, but I fixed it. Okay, so now we've got the basic colors. Oh, I've got to do the fences now. And then I do an extra little pergola. My husband loves that word. I love it when he says it because he has a Dutch accent and it's kind of funny. So I'm just like, what? Say that again? A what? What is it? A what? Just to see how many times he'll say it because I'm a pain in the butt like that. So yeah. And so I just put like a little covering on the front. I thought that would be just a cute little difference. Each one has just a little bit of unique look to it. Okay. And then I did put like a trim on that one. I tried to put it on the second one and I just did not like the way it looked because I couldn't get it to match properly. It had white and I didn't want a white, so the beige that I used was just too dark of a beige to match the stuff that we got with cats and dogs. So I said, forget it. And here you see me go in and just completely change everything. And so you don't have to see the build process. And a lot of it is just changing colors. So it's not like having to completely refurnish it. But there's a lot of stuff that I change. So I took out all of the animal toys in this one and animal necessity items because this is a couple, a husband and wife, and perhaps they were both in the military, perhaps just the husband. The husband is an artist. That's what he wants to do with his time now. So he has an easel that I end up putting in here. And I kind of go for like blues and creams again in this one, I think. But this one's a little more, I don't know if I would say fancy. They do change some of the, I think the walls I end up putting in here are kind of like a, I think it was from Cats and Dogs, like a paneling sort of. And then I changed to like a stone in the bathroom and the kitchen. Let's see. Yeah, I think I used that one. Yeah. So just, you know, a little different. Sorry. "32 minutes. I am so sorry if you're bored, but I thank you for hanging out around. Oh, wow. That's an example of me really tired and none of my words are working anymore. I figure on the second one that I did where it was mostly greens, I was thinking of like army. And then this one was like blues and creams. I don't know. So I didn't really, I would have loved to make them specific to the different armed forces. I think that would have been kind of a neat thing, but we don't really have that capability in The Sims to make everything kind of match the same theme that we wanted it to. And I made the cabinets a little more funky with like that turquoise color. Sorry. At least it's not me coughing. I really thought that I was not going to be able to do this video because I thought I would be coughing a lot. I've been doing it all night long. And it's just a case of, sorry. It's just a case of the weather, I think. The weather is starting to change, and my husband would probably say it's because he got a flu shot. But it is getting colder here, and which I'm glad. I kind of wish it would snow. But yeah. I really would like to have a white Christmas. I've not had one of those since I was a kid, I think. I mean, it's been a really long time. And I don't know. I think my daughter was 2? No, 3. Probably around 3. The last time we had snow on the ground at Christmas time. So I guess I have had a white Christmas in the last 13 years. But come on, this feels like forever ago. So yeah, there are a lot of elements that are the same. But oh, and this little plaque I put on each building, and I feel like it could be like this unit in memory of, or this unit dedicated to, kind of thing. Um, for whatever reason, we choose someone to dedicate it to, perhaps the first occupants, dedicate it to them for their service, um, something like that. I don't know. But that's kind of like what I was thinking when I put the little plaque out front. Um, and this one, I feel like it's another type of, like, could be something regarding medals that he's won. I know that I have an uncle who had 2 or 3 Purple Hearts. And I remember when I was a kid going to his house, and he had this kind of glass case hanging on the wall that had all of the medals in it that he'd gotten. And that was the first time I'd ever heard about a Purple Heart. And so, yeah, that was kind of what I was doing there with that thing by the door. Oh, and this one just has the walk-in shower. I really wish that The Sims would release kind of like a 2-tile walk-in shower. I know that there was a movement in the Sims community to do like Sims with disabilities, so it was a whole build challenges based on making something kind of ADA compliant. And I saw some of them. I thought they were really, really unique, and it was a wonderful idea. I do wish that we had just a few things that maybe, I think doing a pack or changing everything to include Sims with disabilities, they'll never do that, I don't believe. I think there's a lot of kind of tricky situations when you're trying to represent people with disabilities in the video game. And I think if it was a game that you can pick and choose everything, I think perhaps it might be a little too much, or they might be, well, which ones do we include, which ones do we not include? I don't believe that would ever happen. But I do wish that we had things like a ramp, because, some Sims they would rather not walk stairs. They would perhaps like a ramp to go up into their unit, but a ramp or a 2-tile walk-in shower would be kind of nice. So, sorry, even if you don't have, what's the word? Even if you don't have all of the other things for disabilities, you can at least kind of pretend with a walk-in shower. So, and now I'm starting my landscaping portion, and I thought about kind of fast forwarding through this even faster, but when I took it to the next level on speed, it was awful. It was so fast that it kind of made my head spin, and made me ill to even watch it. So I figured I am not going to do that. And I have to admit that when I started painting the ground, I did not plan it ahead of time. I was just like, oh, let's see if this works. And the fact that everything kind of has perfect spacing, it blows my mind. I cannot believe it worked out the way that it did. Especially putting the parking lot where I put it. And I put it there because that's the only place that has like a space from the road, even though it's not really like a turn in on the street. To me, that's kind of how it feels. So, and then I realized I used the wrong paint, so I had to use something else. And this is all just trying to figure out how much ground cover do I really want. So how much sidewalk should there be? Stuff like that. If you're still here, you are a trooper. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I hope that you like the build. I hope it inspires you. I hope it makes you happy. And I would love for you to tell me what you think about it. Nicely. Please don't be mean. It doesn't get anybody anywhere. So, This is like, I'm just painting it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'm just painting squares. This is seriously the mindset when I'm doing stuff like this. It's like, well, let's try this, and maybe I'm just going to erase everything, but we'll see what happens. Oh, my Lord. Like, perfect spacing. And I cannot believe that if I had tried to do that, it wouldn't have happened. It would not have spaced out the way it did. And this was like, I don't know, should I use this shrub? And then once I did it, I was like, okay, I don't hate it. But as I was doing it, I really hated it. I was like, oh, I'm going to undo all of this. It looks horrific. Um, but I did kind of want a little bit of a sound barrier, a little bit of the plant life to kind of make it cozy, I guess. And it needed to be stuff that was kind of easy to take care of. Yes, I build as if I was really building it in real life. Or at least I try to anyway. I do not claim to be some master builder, but I do enjoy it thoroughly. This is like a lot of thinking, like, I don't know what to do. This right here, I decided that I needed to have some kind of a fence since they have pets, and they don't want their pets to run away. So I did give them just their own little fenced-in area, also to keep pets out if they were so inclined. But yeah. And then I knew that this house was just going to be the couple and they were not going to have a pet. So at a certain point, I actually put just gardening, a few little garden pots in there so they can have their own little garden area. Perhaps she likes to garden, he likes to paint. Yeah. And the Sims that I made for this they're all so adorable. And they're little pets. Oh, I love it. I did change up just the little aesthetics outside on this one. And I really love this little drink tray with like the picture on it. I always think, I used to live in Alabama. I was there for about 8 years. And to me, it's like you sit out on a porch and you have a pitcher of sweet tea. We had a screened-in porch when I was a kid, and when it rained, you'd go out there and sit and listen to the rain. Oh, I loved that. I loved it. I miss that. And of course, you got to have some flags out there. It's funny because my husband, I was working on the backyard, and I was showing him what I put kind of a dog obstacle course there because one of the veterans that's going to live in this has a dog. And I thought perhaps he'd like to give the dog some exercise or some training. And so there's an obstacle course that's going to be out back. And I was working on that, and my husband was like, oh man, could you put some flags out front? And I spun the camera around and I was like, you mean like these? And he was like, oh. Yeah, that's what I meant. It would be neat if we had like, you know, military flags. I mean, I understand why they won't do that, but yeah, I would do it. I was like, no, that's way too big. So yeah, this is kind of where I put the obstacle course. Can I just say that the obstacle course irritates the beep out of me? I ended up taking the move objects off because I know that they have to be like spaced pretty far apart to function as an obstacle course. So I think I'm taking move objects off, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. The red, they have to be so far away. So an obstacle course takes up so much space. I don't understand that. I don't know why it has to be so far away. Normally with The Sims, if you have the grid, the green grid that's underneath it, as long as you have the grid, then it should be fine. But these, like, it takes the area beyond the grid, and I don't know. I don't care for it. None of that probably made sense. I apologize. But if you play The Sims and you've put it, hopefully you understand what I'm saying. It's kind of frustrating. And I figure it's well used, so it's probably going to have some muddy patches or little, you know, where the dirt's been kicked up by the dog. I wish we had some dirt tools that aren't so red. Most of them are very red and not the color I was looking for, but it's fine. And then back here, I knew I wanted to do something that was like a barbecue pit or a place that they, if they wanted to communicate and just kind of sit with each other, that they could have a place back in the back that they could do that. And so when I actually looked at that big open space, I thought, how in the world am I going to put this back here? I honestly did not know what to do, but you'll see in a little bit that I ended up doing ground painting. And then I got really frustrated with myself because it was not centered. I'm not great at ground painting. I'm really not. I'm not an artist at all. I can barely draw a stick figure, and even then the arms are going to be lopsided. Um, so the fact that I can do squares is a big deal in this game for me. Isn't it beautiful? Oh, I love it so much. Oh, I love it. Okay, so I start the ground painting back here. And I thought having some kind of, oh Lord, now I move everything, sorry. Okay, let's get that ground painting done. Kendra, get with it. I figured it would probably be kind of connected and yeah. Okay, so back to what I was saying before. The ground painting, when you have each one and their gates are so far apart, I thought, how am I going to connect these and make it look decent? So you'll see that. Yeah, this is hilarious actually, because the more I started doing it, I was like, what am I doing? You get to watch all of the times that I've completely messed up, and I'm like, oh no, it's too big on that side. Oh, it's too big on that side. Dang it, undo. Oh, it's Mickey Mouse ears. I should have just left it like that. And I thought, okay, maybe if I go in smaller increments. Yeah, it's still messed up. Oh, I am such a dork. I thought, okay, that's enough. Let's just leave it like that. I can make it work. Oh my god. I'm like, yeah, sure. I can just like cover in all of those little indents and just like put stuff there. Oh gosh. I really love those little tires. The tire planters is so cute. And then I thought, do I put one table or more than one table? And I just ended up going for one table. The one that you can put like 8 seats around or something. Even though the table itself still looks really small, you can still fit quite a few of the chairs around it. So I thought, oh, I'll just do that. And then you'll see me, I keep looking at it from above because it's not centered. Or at least it didn't feel like it was centered to me simply because the painting is off. So yeah, I'm like, do I put it here? No, it looks funny. Do I put it back here? I'm like, what am I doing? Oh, so yeah, you just get to see me be awkward for a little bit. Which, if you really want to see me be awkward, you should come to my Twitch stream. Wednesdays and Saturdays, at least for right now. Very awkward times. Oi. Ah, me and my yawning. Well, congratulations. We're at 48 minutes, and I believe there's 55 or 56 total, so you are a trooper. Thank you so much. I mean, we've had fun. You get to see me be awkward and be weird. That's a win, right? I did go in, before I uploaded this to the gallery, I put plants in all of the planter boxes. Of course, those can be gotten rid of, but I thought it needed to have just a little bit of growth instead of just empty planters. So if you do want to download this from the gallery, it is Camp Patriot. My gallery ID is 1,000 words, just like the channel. So yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a noise. Just a minute. Okay. Thank you, honey. But right here we're doing, I have to record in a shared space. So, and right now the kids are asleep for about 20 more minutes. I cannot believe we've stayed up this late again. They're probably going to be like, what are you guys doing? This is me not having a job. My sleep pattern is so off right now. And I know it's easy for me to kind of get back in the rhythm, so I'm not too worried about it. I don't know where my little bush disappeared to, but it's back. And I thought about having the bench that's actually facing the water. I thought about it facing the table, but I thought maybe they just want to like come and reflect and look out at the scenery. So that's why it's kind of facing away from everybody, because sometimes we just want to be alone to think. Even if there's people sitting at the table chit-chatting, they may still want to be alone. So, yep, this is for the couple. And I think we're getting ready to go into the photos. So I'm not going to talk too much because I know myself. I will continue to talk and then just run out of time. And so the end of the video comes and I'm like, okay, thank you, bye. But yeah. So I still have not gotten my timing down completely. But I know that when we start the pictures, there's about 16 images that I actually ended up putting on here. And it's just images to show the differences in the living rooms, color combinations, stuff like that. So, but yeah. What? All right. Yeah, and then it was like trying to figure out what trees I wanted to do. Sorry about that weird pause, but it's the different trees that I wanted to do. I don't know if anybody else is having that issue, but the tree that I put to the front that I just took out was from Cats and Dogs. Every time I put it on a lot, it just goes completely black. So that's a weird, I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if it's intentional. And I haven't had a chance yet to ask the question to one of the gurus, but I will end up asking. I mean, because really, what do I have to do with my time otherwise? Some little flowers. A little bit more ground painting. I have such an issue with it sometimes that it just does not want to paint like it's supposed to. And I realized that I made it opaque. But yeah, it still felt like it just was not doing what I wanted it to do. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm done with it. This was 6 hours long, and I was kind of over it. As far as like the landscaping portion, I was just like, ugh. Oh, there's their kitty cat tree because their cat is very spoiled. Her cat is very spoiled. And I was going to make one of the people in the house an elder, but I didn't. But I did make him an adult, so he will age probably fairly quickly. Yeah, I think... Oh yeah, we gotta have trash cans. My box, yeah. And now I'm just like trying to keep myself from talking too much because the photos are about to start and I don't want to run out of time. I will go ahead and say that if you have made it this far, if you've continued to watch, if you're interested in the build that I'm doing, I sincerely appreciate you being here. I am a small content creator. And if you like it, I would love for you to let me know. I would love for you to, just give me your thoughts on it. Yeah, that's it. I know that I enjoy building it. You can see like the plants that are just starting to kind of bloom. So this is the first one. Yeah, with the like blue and creamy kind of tones. They're photographed really well, actually. I'm happy about that. This is in the second house. So it had kind of more of the army feel to me. And this is where the cat lover lives. Oh, I love this. I love this build so much. I could not wait to do the voiceover actually, because I'm so happy with it. And this is the third house where the husband and wife live. I realized you didn't get to see any of the other Sims, and I really intended to include them, but I did not. He's admiring his painting of a horse. He's learning. Go easy on him. And this is their bedroom. So just a little more kind of like earthy family. Perhaps it's like a shared quilt or something passed down through the generations. If you enjoyed this, I would really appreciate you giving me a like and a follow. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day.